It's finally all here. It's finally all here. Oh my god, I'm so ready. Hopefully we can get a pretty good build video. That would be amazing. But we'll wait and see. I'm gonna be no Linus Tech Tips. I'll tell you that now. I'm not Awesome Sauce Network. I'm not Hardware Canucks. Alright, this is some HausOfKlaus nonsense going on up in here. Alright guys, to start the build here, we have a Fantex Mini ITX case. We have an EVGA 650G 80 plus gold power supply. We're gonna give her just an H97 chipset. You can see it's the ITX form factor, and it does have the AC wireless built in. She's not going to do any overclocking really, so that's not going to be that big of a deal. As far as storage goes, we're going to give her an 850 EVO. Now, I've always used Samsung solid state drives, and they've always served me well. So I figured, why not pass on one of the best value solid state drives that's out there. In terms of graphical performance, she has a pretty modest yet effective 750 Ti. Now, she's not really a huge PC gamer, but this will allow her to play a couple games here and there. Maybe not at the highest frame rates, but it'll still look really, really nice, especially with her new 23-inch HP monitor. As you can see, she definitely wanted to go with this white theme overall. Now, if we look up here, we get to the first reason why we're even showing you this, and that is the Corsair Vengeance RAM. It's 1600 DDR3, and this is going to go in the new white build. Now, yeah, it's not going to be totally white, but we had a budget and we had parts, so we're going to reuse them. She's also going to end up getting my H75 in the push-pull configuration as long as it fits, and she's going to get the CPU that's underneath it, which is the Xeon 1231 V3, which is a pretty decent CPU if you're looking to get a high-performance 4-core CPU with hyper-threading, but you don't have the money to spend on an i7. Alright guys, this is pretty much where I like to start. I like to strip the case down pretty much to where there's nothing left in there. You can see that we have quite a nice basement here that's going to really isolate that power supply. It's going to allow us to hide some stuff behind here like the hard drive so that you don't have to see all the wires and whatnot. This is where our SSDs are possible to be mounted. Now if I flip it over to the back side here, you can see that Fantex is super awesome. We have another SSD slot, which this is the one that we're going to end up using. And it's also really nice that they have these cable management fasteners. As you can see, they're already being utilized to kind of hold the front port stuff. So this is pretty much what we're going to start off with. The first thing I always like to do is, at this point, start to put in that motherboard. The other nice thing is we have this open backplate here so that we're going to actually be able to mount our water cooler. Alright, so there's a couple things I want to talk about before we actually get into putting the parts. First, gloves. While I have gone out of my way before and not done the whole gloves thing, I would recommend it if you're trying to be really, really safe, and that's what I'm trying to do here so I don't mess up my girlfriend's computer. The other thing too is that you're going to want to ground yourself. Now the easiest way to do that is just to touch your computer case or just touch something metal that's around you. As you can see, I am also building this on a wood floor, so I'm trying to not pick up any sort of static that's going to be on the floor by, you know, rubbing my feet on carpet or something like that. I am building on a bed, which is not the smartest thing to do, but I have put down this like cardboard to isolate all the motherboard and everything. Now, there's recommendations of building the system before you actually put everything inside and make sure everything works. I'm throwing caution to the wind, and we're not going to be doing that today. We're just going to basically hop right into it. But those are the things to really remember. If you're trying to be as safe as possible, you want to have gloves on, or like an anti-static bracelet or band or something like that. And always touch a piece of metal that's not your computer, before you actually start messing with parts, because as an electrical engineer, I know electrostatic discharge is the worst thing that can happen to your computer. All right, so we're gonna look at the motherboard. You can see inside the box we have our manual and all those sorts of reading documentations. These are the parts that are going to end up being for the AC side of things. It also comes with our back plate, which we will be using. I apologize if we're getting a little too much glare in here. It's so dark in the room that I actually have to have the light on my cell phone on to make sense of what we're doing. On the other side of the fence, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is the motherboard. So without further ado, let's get that puppy in there. All right, this is actually going pretty well. This is one of the easier motherboards that I've actually gotten in. Sometimes you end up having some issues, but maybe it's just the mini ATX format that's making this so easy. We just secured our 4 screws, and yeah, that's pretty much it. This puppy's in. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start messing with this CPU, and once we can get the CPU in, we will be going hard, you can say, on that CPU cooler, trying to get it. I haven't decided where I want to mount it. There's a lot of locations. I'm thinking I'll just put it back here, as there's already this 200mm fan up here in the front. The other option is to put it on the top. Now there are little airflow vents you can see right here along the sides, but what I'm really worried about is if I were to mount it in here, that one, it would be a little bit restrictive. There might be too much pressure out of here. Maybe not, I'm not sure. This doesn't seem like the most efficient place. If we're pushing from the front, we would want to exit out of the back here. So from front to back. You always want to think about airflow so you can be the most efficient. If I had some more fans, I would probably put them up here. But for the most part, I'm going to leave this section empty and we'll just try and pull it out of the back there. All right, everybody, we got to the beauty behind the beast. Now, the one thing I do foresee as maybe being a problem is this guy right here. This little pin, he does not want to come out, and he's caused a little bit of problems on the back end of this cooler getting it off. So the mount into the back plate for this cooler is actually stripped. So there's a little bit of an issue with that. I don't know how well we're going to be able to actually connect it, but we'll make it work. It's really easy. Intel did this awesome stuff with these CPU coolers where you just push that down, pull it up, and this will slide back and release, and there we have our CPU. Now same thing on this side. Push down, and pull out. We lift it, and then this will come out. Now this will eventually be removed. Now I haven't messed with ASRock boards too much, but it seems a little flimsy on my end. I suppose, this one's maybe a little bit better. Okay, so basically I'm gonna be super careful taking this out. The thing is that you don't want to really touch the pin, so we're gonna grab it from the sides, pull it out. And I also need to take this paste off of the top so that I can actually put our own cooling paste on this when it's ready to be mounted to our gigantic water cooler over there. All right, so this is gonna be a little bit of an intro into what you need. You're gonna need some isopropyl alcohol. Now I have 91%. I think the higher that you can get is probably the better. The second thing is you're gonna need a rag. Now I'm using, well, maybe not even a rag. I'm using toilet paper, which is not always the best thing to use. This is somewhat a say, or do what I say and not what I do. I would recommend against using toilet paper. Now the reason for that is basically just because you can get fine little fibers left over once you're all done, and that's just bad all in all. So basically I've wetted one end of our toilet paper here, and you're just gonna go and rub this very gently very gently over the CPU. And you can see now we got a brand spanking new dry one. There is still, you can see the marks from where the cooling paste was before. Not a huge deal. It's not really going to go anywhere. And what we're basically going to do is kind of sit this in the socket over on our new build over here. And kind of let it sit to dry for a bit. Gotta be very, very careful. This is a bad idea. Okay, you just want to let it fall in. You don't need to press it in or anything. The one thing that you want to make sure of, and let's get the light back on. All right, so it's a little bright, but the one thing that you want to make sure of, oh, come on, is these two little guys here need to line up their sides. And then there's also this little arrow right here, and you want to make sure that, that's pointing in the right slot as well. I originally missed it over here, but the little spot that you want to have is you want this little triangle to line up with this over here. I'm sure it's different on each motherboard. That I was not used to, so sorry ASRock for bad-mouthing you. But yeah, pretty much that's going to be it. So we'll just close our little CPU lid here. We'll pop this guy off at the top, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so I was about to get very gung-ho about mounting the CPU cooler, but then I realized this right here is going to be our power. And yeah, I know the gloves came off. I had some issues and I ended up tearing them off. I'll put them on in a second, but my fan comes out basically 3 fans thick here because it's a double fan radiator, and it ends up blocking that, and I can't get in there at all. That's not even to mention that I'm going to end up blocking a lot of these headers here. So before we even touch the CPU cooler, we're probably going to have to do other stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and mount the power supply down here. And you kind of notice, I guess the sizing is going to be a little off. This is a big ass power supply. And I don't know, I maybe have like an inch or so of clearance over here. So I'm going to actually have to put in all the cables that I need, get it in there, and then route the cables wherever I need them to go. So I'm gonna hop on that and I will see you afterwards. Alright guys, so I kind of went a little ham on it, and I have all the cables quote unquote managed. Sorry for the shakiness, my back is like about to give out, I swear. I hooked up that solid state drive. We got that going through there, and personally I'm thinking actually that the front does look quite nice. I think there's maybe little bits and pieces that could be better, but lessons were learned, and the cables honestly aren't that bad all in all. So right about now, what we're going to end up doing is probably going straight into the CPU cooler. And then after that, we'll do the graphics card and pop in that RAM. Actually, RAM will go first, and then we'll do the graphics card. And then we will be done. And I will be a happy man for being done. This build hasn't taken me too long, but it's been problematic along the road. And I'll build a mini ITX for her, but I swear to God, unless it's for her, I'm not building a mini ITX for anybody else. This has been a boatload of little, just minor inconveniences that have made it like not as fun. It's still been a fun build, but I know why people don't do mini ITX builds all the time. It's not like building ATX. It's even micro ATX. You have a little bit more room, a few more options. But yeah, I'm gonna do that and we'll be back. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are pretty much done here with the actual building. There's nothing left that we have to do. We have the CPU cooler on there. We got our graphics card in. The power supply is all connected up. We have our RAM. I forgot to do the Wi-Fi, but I got that in. Still not happy. Some of these wires are, I feel like this kind of destroys my my work of hiding the wires, but overall I had to move the USB 3.0. I think the SATA ports are in a really bad spot. They kind of got sandwiched between the graphics card and these RAM slots. And then you can barely see it, but it just ever so slightly has enough room. And then the other thing is that this is all of the power stuff. So like, you know, the power switch and the power LEDs and the reset button and all that crap. And the SATA just goes right next to it, and it's a little irritating. But overall, I think the biggest winner here is this Fantex case. Like, I'm not even gonna open up the back, but you can see when I flip it up here. Let's try and get this good. This thing is flush to the side, and there is a lot of wires back there. You don't normally see some wonderful things like that. But anyways, this is the little build that we got going here. And one down, one more to go. It's taken me, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours to get this one done. And it's just too late for me to start on the next one. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to install some Windows 10 on it. And start mine tomorrow. That's pretty much where I'm at. Alrighty guys, it's taken way too long to get to this point, but we are installing Windows. Now, overall, I guess things are going pretty well. We won't know until it's all up and running, but this thing sure is looking pretty. I don't think we can really see too much inside of it, but the glass is tinted, unfortunately, so not too much going on there. But yeah, we got it going. We finally got it going. I guess part of this thing is be smart about the USB drives that you use. I've gone through 3 of them, and it just seems like magic sometimes when it works, and just terrible fate when it doesn't. It's alive!
Yay! We're in business!
We're in business, like she said. So that has been build number 1. And the next time you see me, it will be build number 2.